Alright y'all, so today's video is a bit more speculative than some stuff I've done in the past, but I was perusing Twitter today, saw a tweet from the Hoop Central account that said that rival executives have been pitching the idea of a Rudy Gobert trade to the Dallas Mavericks. And although it wasn't necessarily the biggest headline of the day, I did want to look into what a potential Gobert Mavs deal could look like. So I came up with a few trade ideas, and I just wanted to explain maybe the reasoning why some executives are seeing this as a potential move that the Mavs could look into this offseason. Now, the first thought that might come to NBA fans' minds when thinking of Gobert to the Mavs is how will that work with Kristaps Porzingis already there? And well, the answer is the Mavs kind of used Porzingis more as a 4 than a 5 for a majority of the season. They did have some small ball, or at least smaller ball lineups where Porzingis did run 5, but they had a whole slew of guys like Dwight Powell who played mostly the 5 position before having the Achilles injury. Then they also had Maxi Kleber, and they had Boban get some fill-in minutes from here and there at the center spot. So I think there's plenty of room there for Gobert to fit in, and I think the blueprint that they might be following, or at least the team that might have made them think of this double big scenario, is the most recent champions, the LA Lakers. We saw them use a lineup and a lot of lineups with Anthony Davis at the 4, and then they used a platoon of JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard at the 5. So potentially the Mavs could be looking to follow that sort of formula. Obviously they have Luka running the playmaker, play initiator spot. We don't really know whether to classify him as a wing or a guard, and that's okay. But when it comes to the front court, they could be using both Porzingis and Gobert as a sort of way to match up with the most recent champions. So because it is quite difficult to match the contract numbers and specifics between these two teams in terms of making a trade, I decided to open up some more discussion by making one offer that includes Kristaps Porzingis, even though I know I just kind of ranted on how the Mavs would like to keep him in this offer most likely. But I want to, while I'm here, I'll do my best I can do at exploring all possible scenarios. So I have one offer where I include Kristaps Porzingis in the trade, and I have another offer where he is not included in the trade. So to get into them, we have the first one here where I have the Mavs giving up Kristaps, Justin Jackson, and a second round pick. That pick could be a first round pick, whatever it wants, but just some sort of pick that the Jazz see as valuable. And in return, they get Rudy Gobert and Royce O'Neal. Now, I'll be straight up and honest about this one. This is definitely my least favorite of the two. Again, the contracts are just really hard to match in between these two teams. But you have the two star pieces in Porzingis and Gobert being dealt. I personally valued Porzingis, at least when he's healthy, higher than Gobert. So then, when it comes to the second players on these respective teams in the trade, you have Royce O'Neal and Justin Jackson, who kind of fill the same role as just a 3-and-D wing. I see Royce O'Neal as a bit more valuable to a team, therefore I threw in the pick as well for the Jazz. But when it comes to what each player brings to their new team, obviously Gobert is bringing his defense and just solid center play and rebounding to the Mavs, and pick and rolls between him and Luka will probably be pretty deadly. Not as deadly as the Luka and Kristaps pick and rolls, just because Porzingis does give you the option of pick and popping and allowing Porzingis to stretch the floor. Gobert does not bring that same versatility, but Gobert is much better at rolling to the rim and being effective in that sense. What would make this trade really worth it for the Mavericks is the addition of Royce O'Neal, who is very good defensively and can, like I said, be a 3-and-D type player. He'd be a big upgrade over Justin Jackson off the bench, while the Mavs also still get to keep Tim Hardaway and Dorian Finney-Smith, essentially rounding out their wing position. And if I'm the Jazz, I'm probably looking to play Porzingis more at the 5, and he is 7'3", so he probably shouldn't have an issue with that, although we have seen plenty of times over and over again throughout his playing history where Porzingis doesn't exactly want to play like a 5, but maybe they get some way to work it out. Either way, they have Mitchell as their number one scoring threat. They add a second scoring threat in Porzingis, who is much better in that role than Gobert will ever be, and they still have Bogdanovich and Ingles and potentially Clarkson back on the team. Obviously, Conley's still there to run the point guard spot. And overall, the Jazz just get a better scoring threat to help out Donovan Mitchell. As we've seen in the playoffs countless times now, Mitchell needs some scoring help. And then moving on to the second trade option, this one without Kristaps Porzingis involved, we have the Mavericks getting Rudy Gobert for Tim Hardaway Jr., Dwight Powell, their first round pick in this upcoming draft, and then just a later second round pick. Again, much like the other trade, that later second round pick could be whatever pick the Jazz want or feel is valuable enough to be thrown into the trade. Now, I'm going to go over the Jazz side of things first so that the fans don't get too pissed off at me for what I imagine they see as a poor deal for them. But you have to think about it from this perspective. Rudy Gobert, this is his last year on the deal. If you don't trade him, you're probably going to lose him to free agency because I personally doubt that the Jazz want to bring him back on the type of deal that he's going to be looking for. And so in this case, you get Tim Hardaway Jr., who has had a pretty inconsistent career, but showed last year in a good offense that he can be a valuable wing scorer and just deep three-ball threat. So you get him to help boost some of the offense. You get Dwight Powell to replace Rudy Gobert as your starting five because I figure Jazz fans would not be okay with Ed Davis and Tony Bradley holding down that position all by themselves. And Dwight Powell, before his Achilles injury, he was a great player. He's on a pretty low deal, and for what you're paying for him, you're getting a lot more production out of it than you would expect. You just have to hope that the Achilles injury doesn't hamper his athletic abilities too much. And then as sort of an icing on the cake, you also get the Mavericks first round pick in this upcoming draft where you can hopefully try and snag a quality player who could come in and help you right away. And then you also get another pick down the line that you can use for similar reasons. So although you do lose Gobert, who is easily the best player in this deal, I think for what you're getting back for him could both help you win now and also in a way help you build for the future down the line if you want to be more patient in your approach with Donovan Mitchell and hoping that you can continue to have success 5-7 years down the line from now. And then for the Mavericks side of things in this deal real quick, they get Gobert. They now have a starting lineup that probably looks something like Luka, Seth Curry, Dorian Finney-Smith, Kristaps, and Gobert. And now the bench is looking a bit frail. You have guys like Maxi Kleber, DeLon Wright, and Justin Jackson. And like I said, that's not exactly a championship-winning bench. But if you're going to have Gobert locked down, Kristaps locked down, and Luka locked down for multiple years, that gives you plenty of time to go get some either solid just shooting threats or veterans or just any sort of helpful bench pieces that could further propel them to contention and the championship levels that they aspire. As I was mentioning with the first trade, I like this one a lot better because I think it fits more what the Mavs would want to do in a potential Gobert trade. Obviously, again, it's all speculation. I really doubt that this will happen or any sort of Gobert deal like this, but I just wanted to give some thoughts about it because I did find it a bit interesting, especially me being a big Luka fan. It'd be a very interesting lineup to watch, and I think it'd have some success to it, but I don't know if it's the best route the Mavericks could go down. And with that said, that is it for this video. Drop your comments down below on what you think about this potential trade situation. While you're down there, give me a like, hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this type of content, but most importantly, thank you for watching.